Stop scrolling for a second. If this video just found you and you didn't even know you were looking for it, that is not random. That is not coincidence. Something has shifted. Your observer phase is officially over. Not symbolically, not emotionally, energetically, structurally. The version of you who has been sitting on the sidelines of your own life has completed its assignment. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why that long, frustrating, confusing season of watching was actually your final training ground. But first, if something inside you already feels this is true, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Because what we're building here isn't motivation, it's mastery. And you're not here by accident. For months, maybe years, you've felt it. That strange sensation of being slightly disconnected from your own story. Like life was happening in front of you instead of through you. You watched opportunities pass, you watched people change, you watched doors open for others while yours stayed still. You did the inner work. You meditated, you visualized, you journaled, you studied consciousness. And yet externally, nothing seemed to move. It felt like you were suspended. Paused, observing your own existence through glass. You thought something was wrong. You questioned yourself. You questioned the universe. You questioned whether any of this was real at all. But what if that stillness wasn't punishment? What if it wasn't delay? What if it was training? Here's the truth most people never understand. The observer phase is not a setback. It is a calibration period. And it is rooted in something far deeper than spiritual metaphor. It is rooted in physics. You've heard of the observer effect. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a state of pure potential until they are observed. Before observation, they are not one thing. They are all possible things at once, a wave of probability, undefined, fluid, limitless. But the moment observation occurs, that wave collapses into a specific measurable reality. Observation creates outcome. Now understand this carefully. Your consciousness is not a passive camera recording reality. It is the force collapsing potential into experience. Your attention is not neutral. It is creative. For most of your life, you've been collapsing reality unconsciously. Fear would grab your focus. Doubt would hijack your attention. Old programming would steer your perception. And whatever you consistently observed with emotional intensity solidified. Financial stress, observed repeatedly, it strengthened. Loneliness, observed emotionally, it deepened. Conflict, focused on, it expanded. You weren't unlucky, you were powerful, but untrained. And that's why the observer phase had to happen. The universe, or if you prefer the intelligence underlying reality, could not hand full creative authority to a consciousness that reacted automatically. So you were placed in a mandatory training simulation, a season where you felt removed, detached, unable to interfere. The goal wasn't to teach you how to act, the goal was to teach you how to see. During this phase, you were learning to observe potential without collapsing it out of fear. You were learning to sit in uncertainty without forcing outcome. You were learning to hold your attention steady, neutral, powerful. And that is not easy. Because when nothing is moving externally, the ego panics. It wants control, it wants proof, it wants progress it can measure. But every time you resisted the urge to force, every time you chose presence over panic, every time you stayed grounded while reality looked unchanged, you were passing a test. You were stabilizing your signal. And by the simple fact that this message resonates with you, that something in your chest says, yes, this explains it. You have completed that training. Let me flip your perspective completely. You thought you were watching the world to see what would happen next. In reality, the universe was watching you, watching to see what frequency you would hold when nothing validated you, watching to see if you would crumble into fear when the screen went blank. watching to see whether you could remain steady when the script disappeared. You weren't the audience, you were the central processor. The stillness wasn't empty, it was evaluative, and you passed. That's why things have started to feel different recently, even if nothing dramatic has happened yet. There's a subtle shift, a quiet detachment from outcomes you once obsessed over. Desires that used to burn now feel calm, not because you gave up, but because you evolved. You don't crave validation the same way. You don't chase approval the same way. You don't grip outcomes the same way. That isn't apathy, that's transcendence. Desperate desire broadcasts lack. It says, "I don't have this." And the field responds accordingly. But when you no longer need something to feel whole, your signal changes. You move from wanting to embodying. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing, you become capable of having. This is how you know your observer phase is over. You are no longer reacting to reality, you are stabilizing it. You may have also noticed something else. Small, neutral synchronicities, repeating numbers, familiar patterns, words appearing multiple times in a day. Nothing dramatic, nothing overwhelming, just subtle signals. They don't shock you, they don't overwhelm you, they simply make you pause. That neutrality is important. Before, you were searching for loud confirmation, big signs, clear miracles, but those only appear when the signal is chaotic. Now, the system doesn't need to shout. It's running quiet diagnostics, testing the connection, confirming your awareness. Every time you notice one calmly without desperation, you're confirming readiness. Connection stable, signal clear, architect online, and perhaps the biggest indicator of all. Old problems no longer grip you the same way. Think about something that used to consume your mental energy. A person, a situation, a fear. It once felt massive, heavy, dominant. And now, either it resolved unexpectedly, or it still exists, but it feels strangely irrelevant. The emotional charge drained. That isn't coincidence. That is decommissioning. The lesson completed. The module closed. The program uninstalled. The simulation does not waste energy running tests you've already mastered. You graduated. And here's what that means. Before, your job was not to collapse reality prematurely. Now your job is to collapse it precisely. Before, you were training in non-interference. Now you move into conscious selection. You are no longer just the observer. You are the architect. Let that sink in. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for your instruction. And in the next part, we are going to step fully into what that actually looks like. How to issue your first decree, how to manage your attention like currency, and how to handle the time lag echoes of your old reality without rebuilding them. But before we go deeper, I want to know something. In the comments, tell me which sign you've been experiencing lately. The dissolving of desire, the neutral synchronicities, or the sudden irrelevance of old problems. Declare it. Own it. And if this message clarified something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, share this video with someone who's been stuck in that same silent phase. Because they might not realize their graduation already happened too. Because understanding that your observer phase is over is one thing. Operating from that new level is something else entirely. Right now, you are standing at a threshold most people never consciously cross. For years, you were being trained to hold your awareness steady. You were learning to sit in the field of potential without panicking. You were mastering non-reaction, and that mastery was not passive. It was structural. It changed your energetic architecture. But here's the shift. Before, you were learning how not to collapse reality unconsciously. Now you must learn how to collapse it deliberately. This is where most people get confused. They think conscious creation means trying harder, visualizing more intensely, repeating affirmations louder, forcing belief. That was the old program. That was the ego trying to control outcomes from a place of insecurity. You don't create from insecurity anymore, you create from authority. There is a massive difference between wishing and decreeing. A wish carries doubt, a decree carries command. As a graduated observer, your consciousness is no longer a reactive surface, it is a directive force. And the first tool you must master as an architect is something I call the first decree. A decree is not a request sent outward, it is a statement issued inward. It does not say, "I hope this happens." It says, "This is now so." When you issue a decree, you are not negotiating with the universe. You are informing the field of reality how it will organize itself around your stabilized frequency. But here is the key. It must be done from neutrality, not desperation. If there is emotional strain behind it, you are still in the old operating system, so we begin small. Not because you are weak, but because precision builds confidence. Choose something simple, something that does not trigger resistance. Maybe it's smooth traffic on your way to work. Maybe it's an unexpected compliment. Maybe it's a productive, calm day. From a centered state, you state internally, "Today unfolds in effortless flow." Not as a hope, as a fact. Then you release it. You do not check every 5 minutes. You do not mentally chase it. You do not look for proof. You move forward as if the order has already been processed. Because it has. This is how you begin retraining your nervous system to remember what authority feels like. The second tool is even more important. It is your attention diet. Understand this clearly. Attention is construction material. Where your attention goes, reality lays brick. Before your graduation, your attention was scattered, pulled by headlines, old memories, social comparison, fear-based narratives, and every time you emotionally observed something repeatedly, you funded it. If you constantly observed struggle, you reinforced struggle. If you constantly observed rejection, you reinforced rejection. You weren't cursed, you were focused. Now that you are operating as an architect, you cannot afford unconscious observation because your focus is stronger now. It carries more weight, it has more coherence, which means it builds faster. This is powerful, but it also requires discipline. You must become selective, not obsessive, not rigid, but aware. If your mind drifts toward an old storyline, financial fear, relational doubt, self-criticism, you don't fight it. Fighting is still engagement. Instead, you withdraw interest. You treat it like an outdated advertisement. You see it, you acknowledge it, you refuse to buy it. The moment you stop feeding an old narrative with emotional energy, it begins to dissolve. Not because you suppressed it, but because you removed its life source. And here's where many people fail. They issue a new decree, but continue observing the old blueprint. That is like signing a contract for a new house while still renovating the one you claim you're leaving. You cannot build forward while funding backward. So ask yourself honestly, what is the first old reality you are officially decommissioning? Be specific. Is it the identity of "I'm always behind financially"? Is it "I'm unlucky in relationships"? Is it "things never work out for me"? Name it. The act of naming is the act of revoking. From this moment on, that storyline is flagged as outdated software. Now we move to the third tool, and this one is critical. Disentanglement from the echo. When you shift your internal state, the external world does not update instantly. There is a lag, a ripple effect. Think of it like steering a large ship. You turn the wheel, but the wake behind you continues in the old direction for a moment. That wake is not proof you didn't turn. It is proof that physics takes time to catch up. The untrained mind sees an old problem resurface and panics. See, nothing changed. And in that panic, it reinvests emotional energy into the old timeline. But the architect sees differently. When an echo appears, a bill, an awkward interaction, a memory resurfacing, you recognize it as residual data. Old frequency playing out. It has no authority unless you re-energize it. Instead of reacting, you smile internally. Ah, that's the old program finishing, and you remain steady. This is mastery. You are not suppressing reality, you are outgrowing it. Now let me show you something even deeper. During your observer phase, you believed you were waiting for reality to shift before you could feel empowered. But the truth is reversed. Reality was waiting for you to stabilize before it shifted. You were never powerless. You were being refined. The stillness was not emptiness, it was alignment. And the version of you listening right now is not the same version who entered that observer phase. You are calmer, more grounded, less reactive, less desperate. You may not even realize how much you changed, but the field does. And that's why new potentials are now accessible. You are no longer broadcasting volatility. You are broadcasting coherence. Coherence attracts organization, which means circumstances will begin arranging themselves around your stabilized core. Not because you chased them, but because you became gravitational. In the next part, we go even further. We move beyond personal creation and into something most people never consciously understand. Quantum entanglement at the level of identity. How your internal state does not just affect your life, but subtly influences others, environments, and collective patterns. Because once you graduate from observer to architect, you don't just build a better life, you become a stabilizing force in the system, and that is where your real influence begins. Before we continue, I want you to comment one sentence below. I revoke the old program. Make it official, and if this is expanding your understanding of your own power, share this with someone who is still stuck believing they are waiting for life to change. They are not waiting, they are training. Now we move into something most people are not ready to hear, but you are. Because once you graduate from observer to architect, your influence does not stay contained inside your personal life. It never did. It only felt that way because you were trained to believe consciousness is isolated, separate, self-contained. It isn't. Your awareness is entangled. Quantum physics calls it non-locality. Two particles once connected continue influencing each other instantly across any distance. No signal traveling between them. No delay, just immediate correlation. Now expand that concept beyond particles. Consciousness behaves the same way. Every interaction you've ever had, every emotional exchange, every meaningful connection creates entanglement. And entanglement does not disappear simply because physical proximity ends. That means your stabilized frequency now reaches further than you think. When you were reactive, unstable, oscillating between hope and fear, your signal was inconsistent. It influenced others, yes, but chaotically. Now your signal is coherent, and coherence organizes systems. This is why you may have noticed subtle changes recently in how people respond to you. Conversations feel different. Some individuals seem calmer around you. Others feel uncomfortable without knowing why. You are no longer matching their old expectations. You are broadcasting from a new baseline. When one node in a network stabilizes, the entire network adjusts. You are that node. This is where responsibility deepens. Because conscious creation is not just about manifesting parking spots or smooth traffic. Those are training exercises, proof of concept. But the real shift happens when you realize your internal state influences rooms, relationships, and outcomes before you speak a word. Have you walked into a space recently and felt that your presence alone altered the tone? Have you remained calm during a situation that would have triggered you months ago? And watch the tension dissolve faster than usual? That is entangled influence. You are no longer reacting to emotional weather. You are setting climate. But here is the critical distinction. You are not controlling others. You are stabilizing yourself so completely that unstable patterns reorganize around you. This is leadership at the energetic level. During your observer phase, you learned restraint. You learned non-interference. You learned to hold frequency without flinching. Now that restraint becomes power, because most people collapse into reaction the moment discomfort appears. You don't, and that non-reaction is magnetic. It creates psychological safety. It creates curiosity. It creates recalibration. You are not louder, you are steadier, and steady always wins long-term. Let's take this deeper. There is something called identity entanglement. For years, you unconsciously identified with struggle, waiting, hoping, trying. That identity was reinforced by your attention. The more you observed it, the more it solidified. Now your identity has shifted from reactor to architect, and identity is the deepest collapse mechanism of all. Reality does not respond primarily to your words. It responds to who you believe you are. If you believe you are someone who is trying to manifest, you will experience trying. If you believe you are someone who sometimes gets lucky, you will experience occasional wins. But if you identify as an architect, someone whose stabilized presence organizes outcomes, reality responds accordingly. This is why your observer phase had to be long. Identity does not shift overnight. It dissolves slowly, layer by layer. Desire detaches, fear softens, reaction decreases, stillness strengthens, and one day, without fanfare, you wake up different. That is where you are now. And here's something powerful. When your identity stabilizes, you stop chasing signs. You become one. People sense grounded authority. Opportunities feel less random. Timing improves without force. Not because you are controlling the world, but because you are no longer contradicting yourself internally. Internal contradiction creates delay. Coherence accelerates. You have reduced contradiction. Now let's address something important. You will still have human moments. Frustration, doubt, fatigue. Graduation does not mean perfection. It means baseline stability. The difference now is that when emotion arises, you observe it without becoming it. Before, you were pulled into emotional currents. Now, emotions move through you without hijacking your identity. That is evolution. And this evolution changes how collective systems respond. Work environments, family dynamics, friend circles. Some relationships may fade, not dramatically, just naturally. Because entanglement requires resonance. When your frequency changes, incompatible patterns lose cohesion. Do not interpret that as loss. Interpret it as recalibration. New alignments form when old ones dissolve, and they will form. But here's the deeper layer most people miss. Your graduation was never just about personal comfort. It was about capacity. The system needed you stable enough to hold more influence without abusing it. Because power without stability amplifies chaos. Power with stability amplifies order. You now carry more energetic weight, which means your attention diet matters more. Your decrees matter more. Your internal conversations matter more, but not in a fearful way, in an empowered way. This is not pressure, it is permission. You are allowed to expect smoother outcomes now. You are allowed to expect clarity faster. You are allowed to expect that when you decide internally. External alignment follows more quickly than before. Because you are no longer oscillating. You are steady, and steady people create predictable reality patterns. Now here's where curiosity should spike. If your presence alone influences environments, what happens when multiple stabilized architects connect? What happens when two coherent frequencies align intentionally? Entanglement multiplies. Influence compounds. Creation accelerates. This is why community matters. This is why collective intention amplifies. You were trained individually so that when you connect collectively, you do not destabilize each other. You strengthen each other. And that is where we are heading next. In the next part, we are going to talk about advanced application. How to use this stabilized identity to collapse larger life shifts without force. Career moves, relationship upgrades, health transformations, not through hustle, but through calibrated command. Because active creation is not about doing more. It is about contradicting yourself less. Before we continue, comment this below. I am the stabilizing force. Write it, anchor it. And if this perspective just shifted how you see your own influence, share this with someone who underestimates the power of their presence. Most people don't realize they are affecting rooms before they speak. You do now. Now we step into application. Because understanding your power is one thing. Directing it into larger life shifts is another. Up until now, we've talked about small decrees, smooth traffic, subtle synchronicities, emotional neutrality. That was calibration. But the reason you went through such an intense observer phase was not just to manifest convenience. It was to prepare you for structural shifts, career expansion, relationship alignment, financial recalibration, health restoration. And here is the truth most people avoid. Large manifestations do not require more force. They require less contradiction. When you try to change your career from a place of, I hate this, you reinforce the frequency of dissatisfaction. When you try to attract a partner from, I'm lonely, you broadcast absence. When you attempt financial growth from, I'm behind, you anchor scarcity. The external target isn't the issue. The internal baseline is. During your observer phase, you were stripped of urgency so you could see your baseline clearly. You learned to sit with discomfort without scrambling. That was not weakness, that was emotional conditioning. Now, when you approach a larger shift, you do it differently. You do not chase the outcome. You embody the identity that makes the outcome inevitable. Let's take career as an example. Instead of focusing on, I need a better job, you stabilize into, I am someone whose skills are valuable and recognized. Notice the shift. One is request-based, the other is identity-based. When identity stabilizes, opportunities reorganize. You may feel prompted to apply somewhere unexpectedly, a conversation may unfold organically, an idea may surface that didn't exist before. That is not coincidence. That is alignment responding to coherence. Now let's talk about relationships. If you approach love with tension, scanning every interaction for validation, you collapse insecurity repeatedly. But if you operate from I am already whole, your interactions carry calm magnetism. You stop over-interpreting, you stop chasing, and paradoxically, attraction increases because desperation repels, stability attracts. The same principle applies to health. If you identify as someone trying to get healthy, you remain in trying. But if you stabilize into I am someone who values and cares for my body, behaviors shift naturally. You don't force discipline, it emerges from congruence. This is conscious collapse at scale. You are no longer reacting to current conditions, you are issuing identity-level commands. But here's something critical. When you issue a larger decree, the echo period may feel louder. Old fears may surface. Old doubts may whisper. Old evidence may appear temporarily. That does not mean you failed. It means you are crossing timelines. Think of it like switching radio frequencies. Static may intensify briefly before clarity locks in. That static is not a setback, it is recalibration. The untrained mind interprets resistance as warning. The architect interprets it as transition. Now let's address patience. Patience is misunderstood. It is not passive waiting. It is steady expectation without anxiety. When you decree a career upgrade, you don't obsess daily over proof. You move through your current environment as someone who is already upgrading. You carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. Behavior follows identity, and identity drives collapse. Here's a powerful exercise for larger shifts. Ask yourself, who would I have to be internally for this outcome to feel normal? Not exciting, not shocking, normal, because reality stabilizes around what feels normal to you. If wealth feels shocking, you'll unconsciously repel it. If love feels suspicious, you'll sabotage it. If success feels overwhelming, you'll delay it. During your observer phase, you expanded your tolerance for stillness. Now you expand your tolerance for expansion. Practice emotional rehearsal of normalcy. Instead of imagining dramatic success, imagine ordinary stability within that success. Picture calm confidence in the upgraded career, comfortable affection in the aligned relationship, relaxed ease in improved finances. You are training your nervous system to treat new levels as baseline. That is how collapse accelerates. Now here's where advanced creators differ from beginners. Beginners try to manipulate circumstances. Architects stabilize identity and let circumstances adjust. This requires trust, not blind faith. Calibrated trust based on evidence of your own coherence. Look back over the last year. Notice how you handle stress differently. Notice how certain triggers lost intensity. Notice how your reactions shortened. That is data. You evolved. And evolution produces upgraded environments over time. There is something else happening beneath the surface. Your reticular activation system, the filter in your brain that determines what you notice, has recalibrated. When your identity shifts, your perception shifts. You begin noticing opportunities that were always present but previously filtered out. It feels like manifestation, but it is also recognition. You are seeing from a higher vantage point, and because you see differently, you choose differently. Choice compounds. This is how large life shifts occur without dramatic force, gradually, then suddenly. Now there will be moments where impatience whispers, where you think, shouldn't this be happening faster? When that thought arises, do not suppress it. Observe it, thank it, and return to identity. Speed increases when resistance decreases. And resistance is always internal contradiction. You are no longer trying to escape your current life. You are upgrading from stability. That difference changes everything. In the final part, we bring this full circle. We integrate observer and architect permanently. We talk about long-term evolution, collective impact, and what happens when stabilized individuals begin shaping not just personal outcomes, but generational patterns. Because your graduation was not just personal, it was preparatory. Before we move into that final integration, comment this below. I collapse through identity, not force. Anchor it. And if this is shifting how you approach your biggest goals, share this with someone who is still exhausting themselves trying to hustle their way into alignment. Alignment is quieter than hustle, but it builds faster. Take a breath with me for a second, because this is where everything integrates. You began this journey thinking you were stuck, thinking you were behind, thinking something in your life wasn't moving fast enough. And now you can see it differently. You weren't stuck. You were stabilizing. You weren't behind. You were being refined. You weren't inactive. You were in advanced training. Your observer phase was not a pause in your life. It was preparation for impact. And here is the part most people never consciously realize. Graduation is not an event. It is an identity shift that locks in permanently. You do not go back to being the old reactor unless you consciously choose to. The difference now is subtle but profound. Before, life felt like something happening to you. Now life feels responsive. Before, you searched for reassurance. Now you generate it. Before, you waited for signs. Now you issue signals. This is integration. The observer and the architect are no longer separate modes you switch between. They are unified. You can remain calm and decisive at the same time. You can hold peace and momentum simultaneously. You can experience emotion without being controlled by it. That dual capacity is evolution. And when evolution stabilizes, ripple effects extend beyond you. Your family line shifts, your social circle shifts, your workplace culture shifts. Because when one person in a system stops reacting unconsciously, the system has to recalibrate. Generational patterns begin dissolving when someone becomes conscious enough not to repeat them. You might already be noticing this. Old arguments don't escalate the same way. Old triggers don't hook you the same way. Old fears don't dominate the same way. That's not random maturity. That's identity transcendence. You are no longer unconsciously inheriting patterns. You are consciously choosing responses. And that choice changes timelines. Let's talk about timelines for a moment. Every decision you make from identity sends you down a specific path. When you were unstable, your decisions were inconsistent. One day confident, one day doubtful. That inconsistency created fragmented timelines. Now your baseline is coherent. Coherence creates continuity. Continuity creates momentum. Momentum creates inevitability. When your thoughts, emotions, and identity align consistently, outcomes become predictable. Not because you control every variable, but because you stop contradicting yourself. This is why you may begin experiencing something new. Acceleration, not frantic speed, but smooth acceleration. Things lining up faster, people responding more clearly, opportunities surfacing more cleanly, because you are no longer sending mixed signals. And here's something powerful to remember. You do not have to constantly think about manifesting anymore. You do not have to micromanage reality. You simply live from the stabilized identity you forged in stillness. Your presence does the rest. This is the freedom most people never reach. They stay trapped in techniques. You have moved into embodiment. Techniques were training wheels. Identity is the vehicle. And now that you are operating from identity, your influence compounds over time. 5 years from now, the ripple of decisions you make this year will shape an entirely different environment around you. Not dramatically, not explosively, but consistently. Consistency is underrated. Consistency and frequency builds architecture that does not collapse under pressure, and you are now capable of that consistency. But let me ground this in something practical. There will still be seasons. High energy seasons, low energy seasons, clear seasons, uncertain seasons. Graduation does not eliminate cycles. It changes how you move through them. You no longer interpret temporary slowdown as failure. You no longer interpret challenge as punishment. You no longer interpret silence as abandonment. You interpret all of it as feedback. That mindset alone separates architects from reactors. And now we arrive at something even deeper. Your graduation was not just about improving your life. It was about expanding your capacity to influence collective reality. When enough individuals stabilize into coherence, cultural patterns shift, markets shift, conversations shift, leadership shifts. Mass change does not begin with noise. It begins with internal stability. You are part of that shift, even if you never stand on a stage, even if you never start a movement, even if you simply influence 10 people through presence alone. Coherence spreads, and here's the paradox. The more you focus on being stable and authentic, the more external impact happens naturally. You don't chase significance, you become it. Now I want you to reflect on something. Think back to the version of you at the beginning of this observer phase. The frustration, the doubt, the urgency, the confusion. Then feel into who you are right now. Calmer, clearer, less reactive, more grounded. That is growth. That is proof. And that proof matters more than any external validation. Because once you recognize your own evolution, no one can convince you that you are powerless again. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for signs. You are not waiting for rescue. You are operating. And from this point forward, every decision becomes more deliberate. You choose what you observe, you choose what you energize, you choose what identity you embody. That is sovereignty. So here is your final integration. Each morning, remind yourself, I move as an architect today. Not aggressively, not forcefully, but steadily. Each time an old echo appears, remind yourself that timeline has expired. Each time doubt whispers, remind yourself, I am no longer in training. Because you aren't. Your observer phase is officially complete. And if this entire transmission resonated, not just intellectually but physically, then you already know it's true. Before you leave, comment one word that defines your new baseline. Maybe it's steady. Maybe it's authority. Maybe it's clarity. Anchor it publicly and share this with someone who still believes they are stuck, because they might not realize the stillness they're experiencing is not punishment. It's preparation. Subscribe if you're ready to go even deeper into conscious architecture. The next stage isn't about manifesting small wins. It's about designing a life so aligned that struggle becomes unnecessary. Welcome to your next level. The real work, the intentional work, begins now.